I'm desperate. You get this time of year, you get excited by the transfer window and people moving in, and it's getting to the stage now with Alexander Isak and Benjamin Šeško and things. You just want it over and done with.
I know.
So we don't have to talk about it every single day.
And, for Premier League managers, particularly in the middle and down the bottom, it's crucial that these moves happen, because that's like the knock-on effect for everything else to happen.
Yeah.
So, your Moyes and that, down at Everton, waiting for the sort of balls to fall and hopefully fall his way. He's obviously done a little bit this week, so he'll be pleased. But
he will be mightily relieved.
Mightily.
He's...
But there's still a few other clubs who have made no moves. Palace haven't made any moves yet, for example.
Yeah. And it's worrying for Palace fans because all the speculation continues to be about players moving out rather than people moving in.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the back of winning the Cup, the optimism there is extremely high. And as you say, sort of hanging over them is the Eze and the Gahey, possible deals going out.
Yeah, reading the Times this morning, Newcastle again being linked with Gahey. However, most Newcastle fans at the moment are far more interested in Alexander Isak and maybe the fact that Benjamin Šeško might be coming in. According to our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, there could finally be some good news for the Toon Army.
Benjamin Šeško, the man they want to come in and take on the Alexander Isak mantle. £70 million guarantee plus add-ons is the latest offer. Newcastle, I'm told, in the last half an hour or so, are confident that bid will be accepted by RB Leipzig. So it's very much ball in Šeško's court now. Does he want Newcastle? Does he hold out for a rival bid from Manchester United potentially? Or does he decide to say RB Leipzig? I think that's unlikely. So it does look like a shootout between Newcastle and Manchester United. And I guess the question for Manchester United now, who've been watching this from afar so far, is do they think £70 million plus add-ons is too high at a time when Sir Jim Ratcliffe has been pleading poverty? It's going to be a fascinating next 24 hours. I think probably tomorrow or by the latest Wednesday, when the Newcastle players return for training after their pre-season tour.
I mean, it does beg the question as well from a Manchester United perspective. If Isak does go to Liverpool, if Šeško does go to Newcastle, where does that leave them in terms of a striker?
Well, it's going to leave them in a terrible position. It looks to me like Newcastle accelerating this quickly to try and take Man United out of the ballpark. It looks like Man United have got to do some business, maybe Garnacho to Chelsea or something like that, to fund this striker, whichever striker it is, and it looks like Newcastle are trying to sort of cut them off at the pass.
Yeah.
Newcastle fans will be extremely happy with that news, because obviously the Isak one is really sort of hanging over them, and are Liverpool going to make the move for him? Where it leaves United is difficult, because Højlund definitely needs another foil there. He's not going to be able to carry that shirt all year. I think last year we all see that. So Man United definitely in the hunt for somebody.
Yeah. As far as Newcastle or United are concerned, whoever gets Šeško, I mean, he spent the majority of his career at two clubs, two RB clubs actually, Salzburg and Leipzig. He's had two good seasons.
Yeah. A bit like Højlund, actually.
Yeah, you're not very much like Højlund.
Yeah, exactly.
So for anyone not quite sure what to expect of him, have a listen to our European football expert, Kevin Hatchard.
He's quite unusual in the sense that he's tall, he's like 6'5", but he's quick as well. He strikes the ball incredibly well. And he's prepared to do the unexpected. I remember commentating on a game against Bayern quite late in the season, and there was a moment when he got played through by Xavi, and the goalkeeper was a long way from his line, and a lot of players would look to lift the ball over him. And he actually thought, no, I can hit this with power with the outside of my boot. And he was able to bend it round the goalkeeper, Jonas Urbich, and into the net. And that's the kind of unusual thing he's capable of. He's got great technique.
Yeah, but as you say, similarities in terms of his profile, his age, his goal scoring, as Rasmus Højlund. I think he's got 14 and 13 Bundesliga goals in the last two seasons. So not utterly, totally prolific, but obviously he's impressed enough people. Should Crystal Palace fans be concerned that Jean-Philippe Mateta is almost the last cab on the rank, for those who are looking for a striker at the moment. And he seems to fit the bill, certainly in my view anyway. Palace fans won't want me to say it.
Yeah.
But in my view, he fits the bill at either of these clubs, Newcastle or Manchester United.
Yeah, and the noise that come out of Crystal Palace training ground is that he's a really top person, top lad. He's like one of those that's going to come into a dressing room and bring energy.
You could see that, after the FA Cup final.
Correct.
I mean, you could see that he was a leader that they all looked up to.
Yeah, and they're like their weight in gold, aren't they? When you get a player like that who can like energise the dressing room and bring the group together, something United are desperate for. So I think he ticks a lot of boxes. You're right. If this deal with Leipzig goes over the line for Sesko to Newcastle, then Mateta will, definitely in that frame for United.
Yeah. What about, everybody's talking about Darwin Nunez going off to Saudi. But again, he played in one of the Liverpool friendlies yesterday, scored, maybe his last appearance at Anfield. Would a Manchester United, I'm not sure about the move from Liverpool to Manchester United, but would a Manchester United or a Newcastle be interested in him?
I don't see it. I actually, I think like most Liverpool fans, his energy and what he brings to the team is exactly what you want. But it's his catalogue of misses, on a consistent basis where you're thinking at that level, he should be scoring more goals, and he had plenty of opportunities last year to have really increased the tally that he got. So I think if I was a Premier League manager, certainly in the midsection, definitely I'd be interested in him. If I was at one of the top clubs, I'd have question marks.
Yeah. Well, yesterday on Breakfast, we were joined by the Manchester United legend Rio Ferdinand. He had his say on Ruben Amorim and where he sees them finishing next season.
How many players has he brought in? 3 players?
Yeah.
That were his own players. Yeah. So he hasn't even had his own. This isn't. There's no identity of his players in this squad yet.
No.
I think he needs a time to get to that. The next window, I think it should be go blind, and he just goes to that window at least, gets that window, gets to invest again, unless it's actually catastrophic by that point. But give him a chance to get to that window, some more players in, and then you can start saying this looks like an Amorim squad. Now, how are they doing?
What would be a good season for United, Rio? Where do you think they'll finish
Top 8
this season? Top 8.
Yeah. Top 8, I think, is realistic.
Top 8 good enough for Manchester United, Alan?
Well, I think in terms of what happened last year, and the fact that the new manager's still just very much getting his feet under the table, I think that would be an excellent result for them. I think that's optimistic, if I'm honest, but it's realistically with the front of the team, for me, looks a lot clearer, a lot more consistent. Got the boy from Wolves, the boy from Brentford. Both those look like they're going to deliver for me. I still worry at the back, and particularly when they get isolated and they're pushing for wins, that they're a little bit vulnerable. And I think Guéhi, that would be, if I was Amorim, I would be looking at Guéhi to be the man there, to kind of cement the pace you need. At Manchester United, like Rio used to play. Rio could be left one-on-one, no problem, with every striker in the Premier League, because he had the pace to deal with it. And I think that's where they really struggle, United.
So if 8th is optimistic, where do you see them finishing?
Well, I think 8th to sort of 12th, I see them in that sort of category. But, could they break into Europe top, the 6 there? I think it's possible. I mean, I'm a big fan of Amorim, I really am. And I think if you take away the results and actually look at him and the way he's handled that great big club, he's been magnificent, really. He copes with it, the pressure of it all. He seems to breeze through press conferences. It's the results side of the business that he needs to put, his marker down. And I think this year we will see a big improvement for them. I hope so. And Manu's a big part of that. The 2 young players in Ahmad, they're going to have big seasons.
Yeah. We mentioned Mark Guéhi. Guéhi, of course, linked with both Manchester United and Newcastle United. Sesko looks more likely to be in the black and white of Newcastle next season. Which club is more attractive for a player right now? Of course, Newcastle have got Champions League football. Manchester United have no European football. 03717 223344.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.